Hello and welcome to episode 93 of the FPL Hangover podcast, where we raise the bar and lower the tone on things FPL related. Things are getting back to normal this week, folks. The two Renegades boys have taken the trip home and it's just myself and Seamus in the studio. The weather is a miserable wintry evening and the beers are nice and chilled, so we are in for a nice easy listening episode this week. It was made all the more relaxing by a Jamie Vardy quiet boy performance this evening. And speaking of quiet boys, this guy doesn't know the meaning of the word. NASA's got onto us and let us know that 95% of the spoken words on this podcast have come from this very man, my podcast partner in crime. Seamus, how are you getting on, my friend?
Very good. And most of those words came in last week's episode. I had one too many drinkies.
It was also a bumper edition. Like, that was nearly hitting 2 hours. That was disgraceful. Carry on, if you ask me.
It was. Plus, it was like Christmas. So we were all excited. We had guests in. Or not the first time, but the first time we had two guests on at the same time. So we were like kids at Christmas.
Yeah, the first time we had the Renegades on as well. And as we mentioned, multiple times last week, it was a privilege to share the podcast space with them. And the crack was mighty, Seamus. Sip a beer.
We both in the same frame of mind. Sip a beer to the Renegades. It was a great episode last week. But onto, as always, things move on. We're on to Gameweek 10 already.
The show must go on. Yeah,
that episode is consigned to last week. But Gameweek 10 is not quite finished. Right now, it's 2-1 to West Ham against Aston Villa in the 68th minute. Jack Grealish has got me a goal. Happy with that.
How else has your game week gone? You've got a bit of a smug look on your face. We might as well get into it. Your week went
not smug, happy,
mildly smug. It's smugalicious as far as I'm concerned. And how did your game week 10 go? Highlights, lowlights. What are you standing at?
Despite like what some people might think of this Leicester game this evening, where if you had Jamie Vardy captain. To see him register just a single assist, 5 points, when other people may have captained the likes of De Bruyne or Fernandes and things like that. Not too many people would have captained Mahrez, in fairness. I was really happy when that goal went in because it looked like I was getting nothing. I was going to get Captain Vardy 4 points. I was going to get Barnes off the bench for 1, and I was getting 1 point for Justin. But that goal was worth 11 points to me, 5 for Barnes, and then obviously the assist doubled. I kind of was on live score beforehand and then afterward, and it was the equivalent of a 300k green arrow, pushing me up to about the 1 million mark. So that's definitely my highlight because that was 3 minutes from the final whistle.
Yeah, pretty much. I think a lot of the Barnes goal was a bit further than that. I think that there was maybe early 80 minutes, no? But either way,
it was like 87 minutes or something. Because I remember going, they've got the 5 minutes of injury time plus a couple more minutes. It wasn't a whole lot of time, but whatever minute it was a really welcome goal. That was my highlight, certainly.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, that was the big talking point going into Game Week 10 was, the Vardys, the non-Vardys, and the majority, I'd imagine, and at least any of the Vardy owners I've seen captain them, such as yourself. So this was a big game, and it was also, the second last game of Game Week 10, so the majority of players have played, people have made their points, it's all just,
It's all nerves.
It's all nerves.
Big bag of nerves. I was kind of going, all week, I had very, very little points from my players. I was behind everyone. By the end of Saturday, I had like 2 players who had played. Most people had 3 or 4 or 5. Then on Sunday, I had a few more players, but I had 3 in the Leicester game, and I had Grealish today. And Leicester game, Vardy was obviously my captain. So, it all kind of came down to today. And today's gone well. Grealish, even my only involvement in this game, has got the goal. If I was to pick out a low point, it would be one of my strikers, Jamie Vardy, getting concussed.
Jimenez, you mean?
or Jimenez. Sorry, Jimmy Vardy. I got distracted there because it looks like there might be a penalty in this Aston Villa game.
A penalty for who? We shouldn't be doing
Villa.
live commentary in the podcast,
Yeah,
but for
Villa.
Villa.
It looks like Trezeguet's been brought down in the box. I'm sure this will be reviewed. See if he's onside. See if it actually is a foul.
But while we're doing it, let's keep reviewing your game. Jimenez low point. Yeah, he had a crushing.
I actually miss a crushing. Yeah. Defeat.
Well, no pun intended. Yeah.
Won.
I didn't say defeat. He had a crushing injury blow, is what I was going to say. A crushing blow to his season with a fractured skull. Yeah, and hopefully, like, apparently he's comfortable and things go well. But, I mean, you were kind of looking at shipping him out anyway, so I suppose, and it seems so callous when you say the two things in the same sentence, but, you know, his days were numbered with you FPL-wise anyway.
Yeah, he was my planned transfer for this week. He's 8.4 million. He's quite a bit of money.
8.3 now.
So 8.3. He actually dropped there over the weekend as well. I was looking to get rid of him. Yeah, it's definitely penalty. Trezeguet's drenched in blood. Watkins is standing over this with the ball, so they'll review it. But yeah, what he get 70 minutes. By the time I actually turned on the game, he'd already been stretched off. So that was my interest in the game kind of gone. Happy to see Wolves get the win.
Poor you. He's rushed to hospital. Your interest in the game is gone. But yeah, it wasn't a massive.
I've just started from FPL wise, you know, in real life. That the real thing is here, he might actually, you know, this could be potentially career ending because it's the sort of injury that I think Ryan Mason for Spurs had to end up retiring for. You know, a fractured skull, depending on like the severity and things of it, is the sort of thing that, could end a career. He's 29. Yeah, I just really hope. I mean, I know David Luiz, there was a lot of controversy. Oh, David Luiz played on. Maybe he should have went off as well. He's surely concussed. There was a huge thud off the clash of heads.
Yeah, let's not get too bogged down.
I nearly think he should be sent off or something like that. I mean, if he's flying in like that to somebody who's stationary heading the ball away.
Well, now you're talking silly talks. How can you be sent off for something that's completely like accidental and unavoidable when a ball is swung into the box? But I'm not going to get bogged down into him and his injury. I think there's no need for it. It's a fairly valid low point, though. I mean, I think it was that was his chance for a last hurrah in your team, and now he's out. But my week, not as good as yours. 49 points so far. I'm on a mild green arrow as things stand, which pushed me from 900,000 up 50,000 places to 800. So, like, you know, I'll take it. Captain came in good this week. I went De Bruyne and was just really sweating on the Vardy, kind of result at the end of it. But that worked out. Fernandes picking up some results. And another big talking point this week was Salah. So before we move on, low point for me was definitely Robertson losing that clean sheet in injury time after giving away the penalty and letting Brighton nick one back and level the results. So he was on for 9 with 2-3 minutes left to go, and I tend to not look at live scores because there's just no point to it until they're confirmed, till that 19-minute whistle. There's no point. But I was bored. That's the thing, I think, with only one match on at a time now where they're staggered is you're kind of not looking at other results, or you're not looking at other teams. You're just focused specifically on that match, at least for me. And I was kind of looking forward to a 9-point return, and that would have made it something like 21 points in 2 weeks for Robertson. That got wiped out, and he returned a measly 2. But Salah, he did get an assist, and he was another talking point, and that's kind of left us where we are now. Seamus, you don't have Salah, I have Salah, and the big question is, how long do people go without him, especially with Fernandes, keep maintaining that run, KDB giving managers exactly what they wanted. Let's get into it. Salah, where are you with that?
Yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, like, I basically gambled when he went out with the COVID that over the next 3 weeks, so the week Salah was going to miss this game against Brighton, which he may or may not miss, and who's their next game against? Wolves, is it? This week?
Yeah, this week's Wolves.
I was kind of basically banking on those 3 fixtures. Bruno would outscore Fernandes quite comfortably, so I brought in Bruno for him. Now he's got 11 points and 10 points to Salah's 6, so that's quite a big benefit. Plus, I knew I would not be captaining Salah in those fixtures. Maybe the Brighton game was a tempting one, but 6 points doubled. Yeah, I can totally live with people getting that when he's not on my team. That's kind of the same as what Vardy got. So I'm happy with that so far. needed to get De Bruyne in. He was my transfer in this week, so really happy to see him come in and get 10 points straight off the bat. Very close to being my captain. I did go with Vardy in the end. Last week I wasn't allowed to justify my -4 for Vardy, but part of it was he was probably going to be captain against Fulham, and he had very captainable fixtures coming up too. Hasn't been massive success. Probably I would have had more results going with somebody like Wilson, as it turned out. But yeah, being without Salah is certainly a concern, and I don't know if I want to get rid of Fernandes to get him back in.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the fixtures and what going forward, United having West Brom at home, or that's not West Brom. I was like, wait a minute, have I gone back in the past? United having West Ham away this week and City up next, followed by Sheffield United away, Leeds at home, and Leicester away. Not like dreadful fixtures, but it's the kind of ones where if you didn't have a Fernandes, you're not looking to bring him in. You're thinking you can maybe ride it out. And if you do have a Fernandes, I don't know if you can really justify getting rid of him with his recent performances. So like I can understand where you're coming from. Do you jump off the Fernandes train for a Mo Salah that has what's he got? Wolves, Fulham, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, equally mediocre. I suppose I'm being a bit harsh with it, but not crazy good fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, what we know, like this West Ham game, I consider a good game. I know West Ham are a lot, better this year. They seem to be just doing really well. They play like the three center backs with the wing backs kind of. They're not really giving up a whole lot of goals, and against like United, they may sit deep and try to hit them on the counter again, which they have a good record sometimes against the big teams like Chelsea or Spurs. Well, against Spurs, they always seem to draw 3-3 after going down 3-0. But they always seem to kind of pull out results at least once a season, against United, whether it's home or away. So I'm a bit worried about that. But what I would say is United are better away from home this season, especially Bruno. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter some of the points that have been floated around about Bruno's performances away from home since he's joined United. But just going by his away performances this season, going in backwards order, Southampton 10 points, Everton 17 points, Newcastle 11 points, Brighton 12 points. All his away games this year have been double-digit hauls. So not worried whatsoever about that West Ham game. I think there are points there for him. A lot been said about he's just Penandes. He just scores penalties. But I don't know how many goals in a row he's scored now that have not been penalties. So I don't want to get rid of him. As I said, 17, 10, 11, and 10 in his last three fixtures. The City game, that's a worry. That was the game I was planning on getting him out for. But now when I look at it with Sheffield United and Leeds after that, maybe I just keep and try and find another way to get the Salah. Or maybe I just go Diogo Jota instead of Salah. Is that enough coverage? Probably not.
Well, yeah. I mean, you mentioned a Man United match, so you might as well get into it. And I mean, I think from a United fan's point of view, easily might highlight it. Like, the height of the weekend, it was fucking one of those classic tale of two halves. United went in pretty defeated in the first half, and you're kind of wondering, can they get themselves geared up for the second half? And the answer was yes. Ole seems to have a bit of a knack for that. And it was it worked to come out, beat Southampton 3-2, and Fernandes owners all around the FPL globe would have been delighted with a goal assist, but it could have been maybe a little bit more. He had a chance there at the end of the first half that McCarthy pulled off a save, but he really, really, really should have scored that.
Had to stick it.
He did, and United, I thought, including Fernandes, was a bit off the. I thought United were better than the 2-0 result was at halftime. It was like, this wasn't a shambolic display. It was two set-piece goals that could have been avoided. But I don't think Southampton were the better team after the first half. I was like going, okay, we're kind of fucked now because this is playing right into their hands. But I thought Fernandes was just a little bit sloppy in the first half, completely transformed it in the second half. And as we said, pulled out his returns. Most interestingly, I suppose, out of that match was the 2 goals and an assist by Cavani once he came on at halftime. Didn't start, but came on massive haul. And you've definitely seen the odd FPL manager floating, Cavani as a possible option. Seamus, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think, he's definitely somebody that announced himself on the radar. I pride myself on knowing the prices of FPL players.
He's 8 million, 1.4% owned.
You've done my job. I have read that he, after that game, 30,000 managers transferred him in. Now, he has gone and done a bit of a boo-boo on social media. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't. Should we
Oh,
be
yeah.
talking about this? I'm gonna leave
Yeah,
it up to
yeah,
your
we
hands.
should.
Okay, go
No,
for
we
it.
definitely should because he's looking at a potential ban if, you know, past past results of other people doing similar actions are gone anything to go by. You're talking the likes of Bernardo Silva
Oh,
with
I get
his
you.
Twitter tweet, the likes of Luis Suarez.
Yeah, I don't even want
Yeah,
to get into what happened. I genuinely
he
don't
used
know.
the he used the word that begins with N, which in his
Country.
country means something different. It was the same defense
At least,
used
yeah, I
by
don't want to go
Suarez.
into it, but I don't
I'm,
care.
I'm
Yeah, I
dancing around
get
it.
it.
Basically,
He's
he put the word
after
that
getting
up on
himself in a bit
Twitter.
of hot water, and that's going to slow FPL
That's going to
managers
be investigated.
down.
You can expect he's going to miss a game or 2 games or maybe 3 games, but I don't know how many games. I don't think it's not as the same circumstances as what happened with Evra and Suarez that time. It wasn't the same thing. So look, that's put the kibosh on it. So yeah,
I
I
think the
think he
kibosh
could
was
be.
already on it, though. If you ask me, I mean, like he what is he? He's 33, I think, or something like that. So the chance of him starting every week up front, especially with this, tough run of, not tough run of fixtures, but congested run of fixtures,
Yeah,
is
Champions League games, cup games, yeah, things like that. You're not and Christmas coming up as well.
yeah.
It's going to be even more congested, or at least as congested.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
I'm
I'd
with you. It's
be.
the price that would put me off.
Yeah,
The price is kind of
8 million's
making
a
him.
bit much. I was only saying it to herself the other day or yesterday after Cavani's performance. I was like, people are going to talk about this now, but if I'm looking at Cavani, then I have to be looking at Rashford, and I'm not looking at Rashford. I'm
Yeah,
like, nah.
Martial or something. Yeah, I'm not like Martial for 9. You would think is a better option
Mm.
because you think he's going to start more. But yeah, any news? Was he the reason he was out of this squad this week? I didn't hear that.
Illness.
It was a bit late.
Yeah, illness is what I
Illness.
heard. I didn't hear any COVID rumors or any of that, but I
Oh,
just
you're
heard a
right.
bit of
Right. I
illness.
heard illness later on after the game. I didn't actually hear it before the game, but
Yeah.
afterwards I heard illness. So
But another, classic James Ward-Prowse performance in that match. We seen an assist from the corner, and he stuck his free kick, so goal and assist, and 2 bonus points for Mr. Ward-Prowse. I've seen he's slowly creeping up. He's 8.5% owned, so he's slowly creeping up in the ownership. He's got 4 goals this season, 2 assists. Seamus, for you, and I imagine we're going to be pretty much of a similar mind frame here. But what do you think of James Ward-Prowse? Is it the same as every year?
yeah, you just don't know. He always has this kind of result in his locker against United. Seems to. Didn't he score 2 free kicks against us last season as well? He kind of, what's the word I'm saying here? He uses a kind of technique similar to David Beckham for his
Yeah,
free kicks, where like the moment he actually strikes the ball, he's almost bent over double, and that's how he gets so much whip and dip on it. And it's kind of very similar kind of results a lot of the time. He's just brilliant at these set pieces and free kicks, and we saw that again the weekend. And
he's got.
yeah, I guess maybe playing United, David Beckham's former team, is something that excites him because you don't know when these performances could come against Man United, Man City,
But for you, as an FPL
more
manager,
likely.
are you considering him?
No, because the times I want to play somebody like that is going to be when they're playing Burnley or when they're playing, West Brom or Fulham and things like that. But you don't can't predict when his points are going to
Yeah,
come.
that's a
Set
good.
pieces are it's like penalty takers. Like someone like Klitsch. He could get that penalty against the likes of Man City or Liverpool. But he might do nothing in the quieter games
That's a good point.
that you
No,
hope.
that's a very good point. His points are going to tick away all season, but you just can't, predict when they're going to come in. That's a very good point. And I think like outside of that, there wasn't a whole rake of outside of Fernandez basically doing what he's done for the last few weeks. Cavani maybe turning a few heads, and Ward-Prowse keeping everyone on their toes. Not a load from the Southampton Man United match, but another match that had quite this. I was looking forward to this a lot this week. Now maybe because I had 2 strikers in it, but Everton Leeds, I was expecting that to be a bit of a goal fest, and based on the first 25 minutes, I thought, okay, yeah, we're in for it. This is going to be the match I'm hoping for. Turned out to be, goal wise, quite a drab affair, but I wasn't. I wasn't very bored watching it. You know, it was one of those kind of exciting football matches. But a big disappointment for Calvert-Lewin and Bamford owners, which I am new to the party, but I'm willing to celebrate. And unfortunately, this weekend had to hold off a bit. 1-0 to Leeds. Seamus, you were looking at Bamford before this
I
week,
was.
and now I have him. So you're a little bit jelly.
Yeah. So as I said, I had earmarked Jimenez out this particular week, and it was going to be Bamford was the leading contender. Watkins was the other one I was looking at. Now, side note, I mentioned there was a penalty earlier. Watkins hit the bar and missed his
Oh,
penalty.
did Watkins miss his penalty? Ooh,
Yeah,
big
he's
one.
hit the bar. What? No save for Fabianski owners. Actually, just hit the bar and came out.
Big
So
miss.
yeah, then maybe that changes who the penalty taker is now again. I don't know,
Yeah. We
but
should be able to.
certainly interesting.
Yeah, I'd say like by the time we run through the rest of these sons of bitches, that Villa match should be over, so we'll be able to have a nice look at it. But yeah,
Yeah,
back to
but it was between
Bamford.
those two. It was between Bamford and Watkins for my transfer. Uh, Watkins obviously the fixture. Bamford just the amount of chances that Leeds create and the amount of chances he gets as a result. His XG, which is always a stat you want to look at, shots in the box and penalty area touches. Those are what you want to look for. He's doing rates really highly on those, but especially the XG. And that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah,
And I think that is more of a reliable indicator of more consistent returns or keeping those returns up.
yeah. Well, you know
Now I
me.
have to.
You know me, Seamus. I'm not one for like. I don't know if I fully understand all of the XG and XGA and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not an idiot, so I kind of have some grasp of it, but I tend not to, get too deep into it. But I was watching Bamford, obviously since the start of the season. He came in at 5.5. People had their opinions about him. He scored in the first game. He's tipped away. And I think it was the week before last. I'm not entirely sure who Leeds were against. Leeds were against Arsenal. And I was just watching him and I was everything kind of funnels through him. And Leeds are an incredibly attacking side. So I kind of, made my mind up pretty early, based on European results and injuries and whatnot, that maybe Kane to Bamford is the way to go, because I believe that Bamford is possibly just, hold on to him.
Yeah.
As long as he's getting these 90 minutes, I don't see much of a worry. And those, I didn't come out of the Everton Leeds match going, I've made a mistake. I came out going, I got unlucky that Bamford hasn't got a return here. And I'm happy to have him against, looking ahead to his run of fixtures. I mean, what Leeds have a slightly dodge fixture this week. Arsenal, or not Arsenal. For some reason my ticker
Chelsea.
my ticker is 2 weeks behind us twice in this episode. I've said game week's 9 matches or game week's 9 fixtures, but yeah, Chelsea. So Chelsea's defense have been pretty fucking great. We'll get into that in a while, but yeah, the tough one this week. But then West Ham, Newcastle, and Burnley in the three of the next 4 following that, and that's their fixtures I want Bamford for. So I said, fuck it. If I'm gonna make the move now, he's got the upper hand. But he didn't deliver. Seamus, are you reconsidering now?
You can count yourself a bit unlucky. He had a goal, was ruled out offside, rightly, fair enough, and also Richarlison had a goal ruled out as well. So it was actually a good game. I heard somewhere that it had one of the most shots in the Premier League this season. So I mean, you are unlucky. He had good chances. What's his face? Jack Harrison.
Yeah.
For them could have had a hat trick. There's players there that interest me in Leeds. Part of me just really wants a Leeds player, and Bamford is the obvious pick. Especially if I want to downgrade Jimenez. If I don't go for somebody like Bamford, I could definitely see myself getting a different Leeds midfielder Harrison, Rafinha.
Yeah, is there a case to be made for Rafinha? Like you mentioned him there, he's got his second start of the season. He's he's had minutes in the last 3 matches. 5.4, 2.2% owned, 0.2% owned. So differential out the wazoo. And he got the winner this week. We'll probably get onto that later. I know we have a question about it, but is he like a mid kind of priced midfield option for you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for his price, you're not expecting too much. He's the same price as Prudence. He's in that 5.5 million bracket, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
I don't have his price written down here. I had it earlier, but He's the sort of player that, for a fourth midfielder, maybe a fifth midfielder, he's the sort of price I'd be interested in, especially if you're trying to fit in premium forwards. There's a goal for Watkins. He's the sort of price you can afford. And as I said, it would allow you to fit in Salah, Bruno, KDB. Sometimes he can be a facilitator.
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy with that. Yeah. So yeah, that's that.
Fair enough.
No, he's offside. I'd say it looks like he's going to be offside.
This is brilliant. We should be doing this every week. Live
I know, it's
commentary.
good.
Who needs to pay for Sky Sports when they've got you and me? But moving on
a day late live.
Yeah.
By the time people listen to this, but still.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's the opposite of live. It's not live at all. I'm sorry.
It's hard to see. He could be on. He might be on. His head is kind of.
Crystal Palace
we'll see the lines
Newcastle 2. I'm not going to do this for the whole show where we talk about the fucking Villa match.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 2. Joelinton, Wilson. I mean, I seen FPL crypto transferring in Wilson this week. I think Rogue has shared something. I was like, yep, that was a pretty good move. I mean, when you consider my Kane to Bamford could have easily been as insightful as Kane to Wilson. And it wasn't, but Wilson owners won't give a shit. He came out of that with a 12-point return, goal and assist. Scored very, very late, it may be say, or it might be said, should be said, I don't know, but very late, but a goal and assist, 12 points, nonetheless, and a goal and assist for Joelinton as well. Now, the big talking point with this isn't so much that game, like game week 10 against Crystal Palace. It's looking ahead to game week 11 against Villa, game week 12 against West Brom, and game week 13 against Leeds. Three teams that are pretty much, and Fulham in game week 14, all four willing to concede pretty easily. So I know you mentioned Bamford a while ago. We mentioned Watkins. What about Wilson? Like, come on. What about Mr. Wilson?
10 attacking returns, 7 goals, 3 assists in the first 10 games of the season.
Yeah.
You got to think, you got to be considering him with games against Aston Villa, West Brom at home, Leeds away, Fulham at home.
Yeah.
You're talking about West Brom and Fulham there, the two teams we all kind of target at home. Then you've got Villa away. Yeah, they were good this season. Then you've got Leeds away. Leeds who are very attacking and often leave the back door open in their attempts to attack. So, yeah, you got to be looking at them. But like, it must be said, they're absolute
2-1. Watkins' goal didn't stand. How'd you like being interrupted, Seamus? No.
No. I could see. I'm watching him make the decision, and I could see that's going to be ruled off. It looks slightly off, but it's a real shame for Watkins owners. He could have had 2 goals here today, but he's hit the bar. He's on 0 points. Goal ruled out. Oh well. I don't own him, so I'm happy.
Yeah, same here.
But I'm looking. I don't think I can ignore Wilson now. The only thing about Wilson is that we've owned him. I've owned him 2 seasons ago, and he's done the business when I've had him. Then he also goes on spells where he does nothing during these really nice fixtures. So there's that in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
If he's playing with any other team other than Newcastle, I think I would go for it. The fact he's with Newcastle, and Newcastle have 0 attacking ambition pretty much, and they just seem like they get lucky with their wins. I don't think there's any tactical, nous used by Steve Bruce. I think it's just a case of he's just hoping players will just kind of do stuff for him.
Yeah, I get it. I think
I just can't back him. I just feel kind of really hard. I might still go for it, but I'd be more than prepared for it to fall flat in its arse,
Yeah, I get you. And before we move off, Crystal Palace, yeah, a bit of a disappointing result from them, with their start of the season. They've been pretty strong for a team whose, expectations would have been avoid relegation. And they have a nice one next week against West Brom. And that's kind of followed by a bunch of tough fixtures. Tottenham, West Ham, Liverpool, Villa, Leicester, all in the next, 4 or 5. So it might be time to, for anyone holding on to some Zahas. I know, obviously he had the COVID injury or the COVID absence and stuff like that. So people are already looking to get off him. But it seems like, Crystal Palace's time as an FPL option is coming to an end for now, at the very least. But moving on.
I'd get off, just to underline that. I'd get off Crystal Palace. Their good fixtures are coming to an end now. There's no point buying them. If you have them, as you said, is it West Brom they're playing this week?
Yeah.
I'd hold them for that, obviously. But, there's no point buying Crystal Palace now at this stage. They're not scoring a lot of goals. They're actually in bad form. So, no, get off them. I didn't see the game on Friday. I have better things to do in my life than watch fucking Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. So, I can't speak for the game, but I'm pretty sure I know what happened in
Yeah.
this game. The same thing that happens in all fucking Crystal Palace and Newcastle games.
I've been very productive this year. I've channeled the aforementioned staggered FPL fixtures, staggered Premier League fixtures into trying to be productive. So like on a Friday night, if there's something shit like Crystal Palace versus Newcastle, I will make dinner and I will have the match on in the background. Or on a Saturday or Sunday, if there's another match I don't give a toss about, I'll wash the floor. So herself doesn't have a clue what's going on. She thinks I'm having an affair or something like that. I've been so productive over the last couple of months. But I'm just saying, there is positive spins to all of that. Moving on to the fixture just after Crystal Palace, Saturday morning. Everyone eyes. We've already kind of mentioned it a bit. Brighton, Liverpool, 1-1. I think the big talking point from that one is Diogo Jota. I mean, he was he was heavily touted before it. He's kind of been hard to ignore. And he didn't fail to disappoint anyone who jumped on the Jota bandwagon. He picked up his second goal in 2 games. And bagged a 9-point return for his owners, bettering Salah's return of 6 by 3 points. Seamus, tell me now you're convinced. 24.6% owned, 6.8, little Portuguese man, Diogo Jota.
Tell me now I'm convinced. We got asked this question about 4 weeks ago on the pod.
And you said not a hope in hell.
I said yeah.
You
totally.
said no. You said no.
At
You
the
did
time,
not.
I said I'm sitting on Barnes here, and Barnes is doing nothing. Like this guy Jota is definitely good enough. He scored 4 goals in his last 5 games now, which is he's got 9, 9, 2, 8, 9. Savage returns for his price. He's up to 6.8. Everyone's onto him. 24.6% owned.
Yeah, that's the truest thing you're going to say tonight, Seamus. Everybody is fucking onto him. When I clicked that there and read 24%, I didn't know that. Like I hadn't prepped this and looked at Jota's ownership. I was not expecting 1 in 4 managers to have Jota in their teams, and I was wrong. Seamus. Should I be getting him in?
He's already had 200,000 transfers in this week. He had 783,000 transfers last week. So that's 1 million transfers in a week. Like the cat's out of the bag. People know he's quality.
People know.
So there's no hiding it. And
so
Klopp is finding a place for him in his team. He's playing all 4 of Firmino, Mane, Salah, and Jota. And like chances are with rotation, he's going to rotate one of those 3, and Jota will be playing even more advanced.
You're making my not option, but you're making my figure of going from Son to Jota quite malleable in my brain right now. I can see myself doing it. I was kind of putting myself off, going, no, I have Salah, no need, but I'm looking to get rid of Son. I need to free up cash anyway a little bit. So you think that's a viable option? Like honestly, from one Ombre to another.
Yeah, I'm thinking of just going Barnes to Jota. That's what I'm thinking of doing myself. It's not in the bag. I mean, my plan was to get Salah back in. I mentioned already for Bruno. Don't think I can sell Bruno. Don't want to sell KDB, especially they're playing Fulham this week, but they've still got a nice run after that.
Yeah.
So who am I going to get rid of? I could get rid of Jack Grealish. He's taken over nicely and he's a nice cheap price.
That's a good question right there, Seamus. Like Jota. Grealish versus Jota. Like who are you kind of looking at there? Like, assuming you don't already own Grealish, like you need to pick one you're wildcarding.
Why not both?
Oh, I like it. Sitting on the fence.
Where would I'd go with Grealish, to be honest. Yeah, I'd still stick with Grealish.
You can't make a pretty witty response and then just undermine it with a proper answer.
On a wildcard, you said on a wildcard. So on a wildcard, I'd have both.
Okay.
But if you're talking, get rid of Grealish for Jota, no. I'm not going to do that. Grealish is still playing really well. Talisman for his team. He scored tonight. I don't know if he's on for any bonus.
We'll get on to Villa. But I get you. You're not going to be jumping off the likes of a Jack Grealish to a Jota, but you may have both of them in your team, and I think that's That's all I need to hear. Fixture after that, City, Burnley, 5-0 City. I really don't think there was much of a shock. The biggest shock in that match was Mahrez getting the hat-trick. Especially after you informed me before we started recording tonight that we shat all over Mahrez in last week's episode. I do not remember that, but I'm going to take your word for it.
I think it was Alan Duggan's question. He was like, what about Mahrez? And pretty much universal, all four of us, I think, kind of went, no, not Mahrez. Not because he's a rotation risk, but because he's been playing crap this season. Which he has. We'll stand over that. He had one goal before this game. Like if you were to look at there was no form coming into this.
Yeah, he had a goal and assist in game week 3. That was it.
Yeah, and since then it's 12 points, 2, 3, 2, 3. Didn't play against Liverpool, 2, and then
21 baby.
So just out of nowhere, 21. Yeah, he was just on it today, and look, it was always liable to do that. Sterling hasn't played like the 3 or is it even 4 home times that Man City have played Burnley at home.
I think it's 4.
Yeah, this is certainly the 4th time. It might even be the 5th, but basically, for whatever reason, Pep just goes, no, I don't need to play Sterling in this particular fixture. So anyone who had him this week, you could still say that's just a random anomaly, but it couldn't be.
It's stung. Yeah, you're right. I mean, bite me once, shame on me and all that stuff. And I'm with you. It is a bit weird that Sterling. Why specifically Sterling? Because you'd imagine, the likes of Mahrez isn't too dissimilar from Sterling, especially when Sterling's out on the left and he cuts in to the right. But either way, he did miss. But looking, and we'll just touch on that briefly because I think I know your answer. But we've already discussed City's amazing run of fixtures. They have Fulham at home in game week 11. I think that's, it's going to be massively KDB captain City. So with that in mind, and West Brom the game week game week 13 after the United derby, do you think Mahrez is a valid option? Is this an anomaly? Like, do you just go, nope, I was right last week, this was a fucking pile of shit?
No, look, the City haven't been playing well. Mahrez hasn't been playing well, but City haven't been playing well. He does this. He still ended up last season with 180 points or something. I'll just pull it up here. 175 points he got last season, 11 goals, 14 assists, and that's from under 2,000 minutes. So there's always this kind of chance or risk that he's not going to get minutes. Now, this season he's played 90 minutes, 4 times out of 9 games, and he's played 3 other games more than 70 minutes. So he has, at least 70 minutes. So he has been getting games. He didn't play in game week 2 and he didn't play in game week 8. So he either starts and plays most of the game, or he doesn't seem to play.
Yeah.
So I think just get him in if you've got a strong enough bench. But this is the season with COVID and missing players and injuries, and it's hard to get value out of your team. I have lots of non-playing players on my bench, so I don't know if I want to go for him. But if I had a playing bench, I think he would be a fine 4th player.
Well, I mean,
but for his price, he's almost the same price as ZH. So
yeah, he is, and he's also, like we mentioned, Jota. So I mean, surely if you're justifying Jota as a pick, then Mahrez has to, or he's a bit ahead of the likes of Mahrez considering the price difference. To me, anyway, I'd rather Jota.
It's a 1.4 between them.
Yeah,
if they were the same price, I could be a bit more optimistic about Mahrez, but he's not. He's just that kind of slightly more expensive. He still could be value, but you don't know what. Like, he could get a hat trick in the next game again. He could get back-to-back hat tricks.
That'll be exactly it. He'll definitely get a hat trick next week against Fulham. So just to further hammer the nail home for us, we're not going to go into KDB. I really don't think we need to talk about it. He got 2 assists this week, was unlucky not to get a goal in the final kick of the game almost.
Yeah.
He was exactly what we expected he could be, and hopefully this is a kind of upturn for him. So as I said, we won't focus on KDB. There's no need to. You know where we stand. He's going to be your captain next week. I know he is.
He's definitely going to be my captain, but his ownership is so small, Ger. Like, it's he's 19.9% owned. He was under 18% owned in this game week, and obviously 10 points is going to turn heads, especially when he's playing Fulham.
Less managers own him than Jota. That's again. I didn't really realize that. Again, this is all new information. It shouldn't be, but this is the level of professionalism you're dealing with here at the FPL Hangover. No, I'm with you. He is less owned than I would have expected, but that's fine by me. I'm sure that'll change before the game week 11 kickoff. But looking at the City match, and before we move on, there was one other big, Jesus got an assist as well. So just to touch on that, great for anyone that took the punt on him. Aguero is rumoured to have picked up another slight setback on the injury, just a slight one. Pep said it's not serious, but that may get Jesus to start next week. We're going to watch the Champions League.
Didn't know that now. That's good to know.
Well, I come prepared unless we're talking about the thing I mentioned previously. But so basically that's Jesus. He got an assist. I mean, when it's a 5-0 win to City and you have City's number 9, you're kind of hoping for a little bit more, but that wasn't the case. The big talking point, I think, outside of KDB and Mahrez was Cancelo being rested. Now, a lot of people, myself included, was looking to come off and did come off maybe in previous weeks. Liverpool's defence into a Cancelo who seemed to have nailed his position in the squad, but now Mendy's back from injury. Cancelo did play midweek and was rested against Burnley, so you're going to be worried a little bit against Fulham. Seamus, do you think it was just like he's just got to rest? But Mendy did score. Mendy did score.
Yeah, if it's a one-time game that he's been rested, like Pep does this, where you kind of go like, oh, brilliant. They've gone through a couple of somewhat hard games and now they have a lovely run of games. I get these players in. And then Pep also goes, we should be hammering these guys, rotates his squad. And all of a sudden, the likes of Laporte, who's previously undroppable, is dropped and John Stones comes in, which is what happened. Cancelo, who's playing all these games, he's rested, and in comes Mendy. And I would say, look, once off, next game probably it could be Cancelo again, left back. But the fact that he played probably better than I've seen him play all season, Mendy.
Yeah.
Scored a goal.
Wouldn't be hard. I think he's only played.
Pep does like to reward players with good performances by keeping them in the team. So,
and he did say that. He said goals keep you in the squad. So that'll have had Cancelo owners, their ears will have been pricked by those comments. But yeah, all in all, 5-0 City, not a lot to write home about. We're also not a lot to write home about from the West Brom Sheffield United match. Again, another very low scoring affair. West Brom pulling off a 1-0 victory and a man of the match performance from Sam Johnson. He came out with an 11-point haul, and for anyone that would have started the season with him, they would have been delighted to see that kind of performance. But I do feel it was it's a bit of a blip. I think West Brom, we know already, they can be got at. Sheffield United are very toothless so far this season. Brewster not even making the starting lineup, but did come on late on and didn't have much to show for it. We won't dwell on it too long, Seamus, but any thoughts springing to mind from West Brom Sheffield United?
What I've seen of the match from the highlights match of the day, because again, this was a game you couldn't have paid me to watch. I was like, this is going to be 0-0. Conor Gallagher scores from a
Is there running water in your background, Seamus?
No, my wife has decided she's going to make a smoothie or something and is running the blender.
Brilliant. That's very
perfect
thoughtful.
Timing. Probably kept all the doors open as well.
I was wondering, I was like, have you entered a waterfall?
Yeah, no, not quite.
But yeah, Gallagher, as you said, he did.
Gallagher scored. He looks like a good player. I don't know if he's an FPL option. Personally, he's not an FPL option, I'm going to say it. But just to touch on Johnson, this is why you choose your keeper at the start of the season and you set and forget them. A lot of people are saying, oh yeah, Alex McCarthy's having a really good season. And he is 42 points from his first 2 games. That's just 1 point better off than Johnson. I know he picked it up here this week with 11 pointer. But, if they do keep clean sheets, there's a good chance he's making a lot of saves and he's going to get a 3 bonus, So that's...
Say that to me again. What did you say was 1 point more than Johnson? Did you say McCarthy was?
Yeah.
Say that a sentence again, because I feel like I heard it right, but it seemed a bit unbelievable to me.
Alex McCarthy's on 42 points, my set and forget keeper since the start of the season, even through my wild card. A lot of people are feeling burned from switching from McCarthy at the start to Martinez and stuff like that. I know did you have McCarthy as well at the start?
I did. I switched to Martinez. Yeah, I don't feel too burnt, but I definitely didn't need to do it. But yeah, go on.
But I've heard a lot of people kind of saying I should have just left it. Yeah, he does. Like Southampton do keep clean sheets.
I did not realize West Brom were so fucking, or Johnson was so close to McCarthy in the scoring. That's crazy.
Well, he was, before this week, he would have been on 30 points. But that game brought him up 11 points, and 11 pointer will do that for you. So
yeah, but I mean
they've only kept 2 clean sheets.
That's the thing. That's why I'm surprised. This was their second clean sheet of the season, and I mean you're right. 11 pointer is a massive boost, but it's like you expect them from your 4.5 relegation candidate keepers every now and again. Like maybe 5 to 6 times a season, they're going to pull out a massive performance and the team will scrape a 1-0 win. But I still didn't expect him to be so close to McCarthy's points. But there you go. Seamus, there's your next move. McCarthy to Johnston. Save yourself a 0.1. Easy switch.
Just further evidence for just the set and forget keeper. You know, by the end of the season, all these keepers are going to be in and around each other, and there's no point going chasing them, wasting your transfers trying to get them. Just get on somebody, and then at the end of the season, you're like, oh, if I'd gone for this keeper, I'd be 15 points better off. Like, yeah, but you would have wasted transfers. And
yeah, I'm with you.
Just change your keeper on your wild card and leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm actually starting to worry a bit more about not having a playing second keeper. Just as we're getting into the Christmas fixtures, I'm like, oh, I don't know what happens if... But I'm not going to get into this.
Get Ramsdale as your second keeper.
Oh, God, I'd rather...
He's the one keeper you should transfer out, I would say.
Oh, that's that lad. I'm a bit picky when it comes to goalkeepers anyway. It's kind of why I got rid of McCarthy. I don't rate him as a goalkeeper. I think he's a good shot stopper. I don't think he's much of a keeper. And I think Martinez is... fucking great. I think he could have easily stayed as Arsenal's number one if you get my drift. But speaking on
Southampton are organised, so they're not going to give up too many big chances. So all he has to do is make a few saves. Yeah. I was sickened he saved that Bruno effort at the start of in the first half that Bruno should have buried.
If Southampton had come out of that with a clean sheet, you would have been laughing because he'd have come out of that with another fucking 12, 13 point haul. But that was another thing why I really wanted United to just fucking score. I was like, fuck this Southampton clean sheet shit. But they did score, and we've talked about Southampton Man United match. But a match we haven't talked about is Chelsea Spurs 0-0. Not massively shocking. Kind of very similar performances to the Chelsea Man United game to me, where neither team really were going for it. Chelsea a bit more attacking than Spurs, but you'll have been pretty fucking happy with returns in that match, especially when you look at the bonus points. Another masterclass of FPL defensiveness from you, Chilwell and James.
Yeah, look, these guys have been super for me since I've had them.
Super.
Chilwell I've had, I'm just going to pull it up here. Chilwell I've had only 3 weeks. It feels like way longer, but he's got 8, 7, and 8 in these 3 games. That's 23 points, which is more than the 7 games I had Alexander-Arnold, who's more expensive. So yeah, Alexander-Arnold only 19 points in the 7 games I had him. Likewise, I've had James a game week. I've actually had him a few game weeks longer, but he was benched for the first couple of games I had him.
Get it. Come on, we don't need your life fucking story on 2 Chelsea defenders. All right, you were happy they got a clean sheet.
Yeah,
come on,
the double Chelsea defense is fucking working, and I'm going to stick with it a bit longer.
I just can't believe that James has came from what I thought was a fire, which you also agreed was kind of like, oh, this is an issue I might need to fix, to I want to play him against every team, especially for
well, I'm happy.
what
price
is he?
I was patient. He's only 5.1. I got him for 5.1. He dropped down to 5.0 for a week or two, and now he's back up to 5.1. But he honestly could have had a couple of assists. That's why he got on the bonus, because he set up a couple of easy chances for Tammy Abraham, and he fluffed his headers. But he put him on a plate. His delivery is very good. It's like Trent almost. And what you were saying, we were discussing Ziyech earlier, and you thought Ziyech might dent his impact.
Yeah.
But I think because Ziyech is left-footed and will always look to pull in his left, with James will often be behind him. He'll often try and overlap him.
Yeah.
And because Ziyech is such a dangerous left foot, that will pull away one of, they can't double up on James. People will double up on Trent to stop him blocking across. Whereas with James, he's left 1-on-1. So if he can get past his marker and he can whip in the ball, it's a clear chance, a lot of the time.
Yeah, I get you. But just to elaborate on what I said, and I don't think it might. I think it is. Watching the match, I see, James' first instinct now, where maybe 3-4 weeks ago it was to whip a ball in. Now is Ziyech free to whip that ball in, and he kind of pulls it back a lot more. Now I still think obviously James is incredibly attacking and will at times look to just whip it in anyway, as you said, he threw in a load of crosses. But for me, I'm watching it, and it's not a massive thing. It's like I compared it to Tellez playing in the same game as Bruno. It takes maybe 50% of Bruno's corners off him, which over the season might make some difference, but it's not the end of the world. It's the same with James. It's like he knows now that he doesn't have to hit that byline and get the ball into the center. He's got Ziyech waiting to put it on the penalty spot. At least that's what it looks to be doing. But I mean, time will tell what the story with that is exactly. What I'd be more concerned about, and it's for someone like me who is still considering when I know where I need to put money. I know there's money in the likes of Robertson and with Van Dijk out this season. I know we're touching on something we've spoken about over many episodes, but with Van Dijk out this season, I do think Liverpool are obviously going to be more vulnerable at the back, as proven, I think, this week. Well, maybe that's a bit unfair because they had the clean sheet into the injury time, but they are going to be a little bit more vulnerable at the back. And if I'm looking to free up funds, Robertson down to James is a cool 2 million. Like, it is a cool 2 mil if you have somewhere to put it. Now, I don't, but my point is, do I need to worry about Azpilicueta, especially come Christmas time and the fact that the fixtures are starting to pick up? Are we going to see James rested? Like,
yeah, maybe. That's a really good point. I have zero bench really at the minute. I have like one player, like one playing person on the bench, but now that Jimenez has been like going to be ruled out for God knows how long, he's on my bench at the minute. He's my first sub. So if I make one transfer and get rid of him, then I've got one player on my bench. So I need probably to improve my bench to continue carrying the likes of James and certainly Barnes. My problem this week was that, if Barnes didn't play, I'm down to just 10 players. I've no one to come off the bench for me because Lamptey was suspended.
He's back now.
So he's back now. So even like even if I kept him as there, there's no reason I would. I can still get 11 out. So yeah, I think if I was in a position where I had Robertson, I would just hold him. He's, as you said, he got 12-pointer last week. He's very close to doing that any week. They keep a clean sheet. Anytime, he's getting a lot of assists. Treat him like a midfielder.
Yeah.
And he nearly had 9 points this week, but tiredness. I think I wouldn't sell. I would take that as an advantage because a lot of people have got off the Liverpool defense, and he could still do business.
I'm with you. I'm just saying, like, down the line, maybe. I know as soon as I do, if I was to make a move on the likes of James, then that's when he'd suddenly, lose his spot to the new fucking rejuvenated Azpilicueta. But moving on quickly, Arsenal Wolves, not a massive amount to talk about there, other than, as we already mentioned, the Jimenez injury. Big win for Wolves, like first time in God knows how long. Arsenal losing their clean sheet, Wolves also conceding. I suppose FPL wise, the biggest talking point for me in that one is Kilman not starting. Now, you mentioned that he lost his dad previous to that, so maybe it's related. He did come off the bench late in the match and got some minutes, so he's obviously not away grieving or anything like that. So I'd be a bit more concerned as a Kilman owner myself. I'm like, oh, hopefully this was just a little bit of a rest. But I don't know.
Do you know what it is? It's because he was because of I don't know if did he play the game last week? I think he did.
He did, yeah.
I'm underprepared. Yeah, he did play that one.
Yeah.
But Saiss was out with Cody was out because of close contact or at the England camp or something like that, or injury, and Saiss has COVID, so they were down to, they didn't really have three defenders, so they couldn't really play their three centre back formation they usually do. They changed to a flat back four, and they were good, and they just carried it into this game against Arsenal. It's so rare to see them playing with a flat back four instead of two wingers, but that's what they did. They obviously said, look, let's do it again, and Kilman, because they had Cody back, Kilman was the lad to lose out. They're not going to drop Bolly and Cody ahead of Kilman. So Kilman lost out, and it was down to the positional change. So,
which
Kilman
I feel like,
I was eyeing up.
Yeah, no, I wonder what Spanto. I was going to call him Santo, and then I went no. But I wonder what the Wolves coach will make of this. Like, they did concede pretty early on in that first half, and he did switch to the back five again by the end, but I guess it's a time another time will tell. No massive other shocks are ringing around that match. Podence did reward anyone that kept faith with him with a 9-point return, hauled off again in the 69th minute, so 10 minutes
did he still get hauled off early?
He came off after 69 minutes. So
that's his little party trick, but 9 points, his ownership is down to 3%. A lot of people who had him would
Yeah.
have sold him in the last few weeks. There was a lot of excitement,
I think there's
going back.
more cause for excitement with his counterpart, Pedro Neto.
Yeah,
He's 5.5, so he's zero point 0.1 more expensive. He got a goal and assist this week as well. Played the full 90 and returned a 13-point haul. That's following his 6-pointer against Southampton. So 3 goals, 3 assists versus Podence' 2 goals, 2 assists, and both down as midfielders. So like those two are really battling out for which 5.5 Wolves midfielder do you want this season? You know, if Wolves
Neto
were
seems to.
go on, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I interrupted. Keep going.
I was just saying if Wolves were to find some vein of form that saw them putting more than 1 to 2 goals past randomly past an opponent in the last 10 minutes of the match, as it was prior to game week 10, you'd be flush with options for cheap midfielders. So I suppose the game is kind of safer that Wolves are a bit more conservative this year.
Yeah, I mean they've always been conservative, but as I said, going to a flat back four that frees up to an extra attacking player.
Yeah.
So yeah, with Jimenez, apparently the thing is here he's fractured his skull, so that's not something you're back from in a week or two.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he's out. He could be out for the season.
So,
So
so what way does
yeah,
Di
how does he
Santo
line up?
react to that? Yeah.
Yeah. Does that mean Adama Traore is going to be playing as a more of a center forward role alongside, Neto or Pudence, or did they put that new guy that they got Silva up
Yeah.
front, or did they continue like with Neto? But like Neto has been getting all this game time anyway. I mean, he was rested in the Southampton game. He only got 20 minutes, which he still came on and scored. But he's got 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 4, which is like totting up 28 points in his last 4.
Well, we
Like
have
he's doing.
a little bit
doing
of a question on Neto come Drunk Tank, so we won't delve into it much more now. But needless to say that, I hate needless to say. I hate when I say needless to say. It just annoys me. But needless to say, we need to see how Wolves react to this Jimenez injury, because he is a fucking an absolute talisman for that club and for their squad and their starting 11. West Ham Villa, that'll be next, but we'll just touch on Leicester Fulham now. We've already looked at it a bit. You kind of got your Barnes goal laid on, who didn't start, and Vardy picked up a late assist. But the big shock of the weekend was Fulham picking up the 2 points, or the 3 points against Leicester in a match that I would hesitate to find anyone who thought Fulham would get a result here. I certainly didn't. It was a kind of almost perfect for you in the sense that like you got a nice return out of it. Vardy didn't go mad from where I'm standing. So all in all, it's like, yeah, you came out smelling a bit better than the majority of Vardy owners, but I'd expect they're maybe just a little bit relieved that he did pick up that late assist,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Any points are better than none.
Yeah.
What did he get me? 5 points, and I said, but it was mainly because I was mostly relieved that Barnes got it because no one owns Barnes, so that's kind of 3 points in the bank. That's helped my OR. But yeah, Leicester were absolutely dreadful in the first half. They went with their normal playing 3 centre backs, passing it across the back. I've seen them a few times this season, and they've been okay. They've been good in some games. Like Tielemans and Mendy were absolutely immense against Man City.
Yeah.
But against Liverpool and again in this game against Fulham, 2 completely different types of opponents, Tielemans has been fucking useless. He can every so often he'll do something and you go, oh, there's the player we know he can do. He put in a good cross. Like I think it was his ball into the box that ultimately Jamie Vardy headed down and Barnes scored from. But like that's when they're 2-0 down. He did nothing in midfield to progress the ball really to find lines. Maddison was pretty useless. Pratt, for some reason, like Brendan Rodgers loves Pratt, they're so narrow. There was no width, which is why he brought on Harvey Barnes and Under, which made a big difference. Well, it made a difference.
Yeah, it wasn't a massive difference.
Massive difference. Yeah, Fulham were kind of happy enough to just go, Grant, so try and break us down and we'll catch you on the counter.
Well, I mean, like the big talking point out of that match wasn't Vardy, which is what we were kind of expecting. I was expecting to be sitting here listening to you gloat after having a Vardy hat trick, but instead it turned out to be Ademola Lookman, who has definitely, he did look good, man. And there I did it. I'm sorry. Like horrible fixtures.
You would do that.
I know. I'm sorry, but horrible fixtures. City, Liverpool up next. But in general, like a very just a bright spark in that Fulham team. Every time he looks at it, he's so fucking fast for a start. It's crazy.
He's
But
good.
like, he's very good. 5 million for a Fulham defender. I think there's a case to be made for the likes of those, like myself, with Souček or Souček, however the fuck it's pronounced. That Lookman's as valid an option as Souček. 2 goals and assists now for him. He's started like all of Fulham's last 5 matches, 6 matches. 7 points, 5 points, 10 points there in game week 5. He tips away for 5 million. Again, I'm not swung on Fulham's fixtures, and I really don't want to be looking at Fulham for attack and returns, but it's kind of getting a little bit hard to ignore. Very, very lowly owned and still affordable.
Yeah, I can't find a decent enough run of games that I want to have him for. You could say like 13, 14, 15 are okay, but I don't want to be using a transfer on my 4th or 5th midfielder slot.
I'm the same.
So I don't want to be getting him in and then going, oh, well, look, then the fixtures turn crap for a few games, so I want to sell him for somebody else. If they had a decent run of games for like a 8 to 9, 10 game spell where I'm happy to hold them, then maybe. But unless you want him as your 5th and you're happy to bench him in the bad fixtures like City, Liverpool, Spurs,
Nearly
United,
all of
and
them.
Chelsea, which he plays those 5 fixtures in the next 9 game weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, like he's only got 4 good fixtures in that run. But yeah, he's not bad.
Yeah.
He's a good player and a bad player in that he's very fast, he's very attacking, but watched him a few times and he just had awful passing.
Yeah.
He's good dribbler, he's got good pace, and he's probably a good finisher. But yeah, his passing, he just leaves things short, he overhits things. He's just...
I'm with you.
Yeah, he's got gaps. There's a reason he's playing for Fulham.
No massive shocks in the West Ham Villa match either. It ended 2-1. Grealish did pick up that goal, which means he's going to come out of that with 2 bonus points, and that'll get him a 9-point return, which will cheer you up, Seamus, and definitely cheer up a lot of the Grealish owners out there. Unfortunate for Watkins owners, as we already mentioned, he's missed a penalty, had a goal ruled off, so could have been a very, very different night for Villa owners and Watkins owners alike. But another another big result for West Ham. They keep that winning streak going, and they'll be fucking rolling now. Big news out of that, Antonio started. He came off at half-time, or close to it, I believe. Now, I was setting this up, but I did see Holleran. I saw Holleran very early, so I don't know where he came off. But in general, another big result for West Ham. Seamus, you must be looking towards the likes of Antonio, the likes of West Ham defence as really cheap options.
Yeah, I mean, looking at their fixtures, I kind of missed their good fixtures. You got on them. You had 2 clean sheets in a row the last few weeks for Masuaku. Okay, and that didn't work out this week.
Should have.
United at home, and then Leeds away, Crystal Palace at home. Okay, Leeds and Crystal Palace. Okay, Leeds get a lot of scoring opportunities.
It really doesn't pick up again until like after Christmas Day, since the 27th. Yeah, Gameweek 15. I'm with you. It's kind of a wait and see. If you were on him, you're going to hold on to him for a little bit, especially the likes of Souček. But
I need to improve my my 5th defender slot, and I'm going to have to deal with Justin soon enough anyway. And I've gone triple Leicester, which I don't want to have. Barnes is coming out of there anyway. But I'm not even sure I want any Leicester coming up after their nice run of games. So I'm going to be looking to get a 4.5 defender in. And yeah, West Ham's sort of players I could get in. Like that Game Week 13 fixture against Crystal Palace screams clean sheet. And then they've got Brighton at home in Game Week 15. So if I can just do it in a way that would allow me to bench against the hard games like Chelsea away, I'd definitely be looking at them. Antonio is another forward of the ones I was mentioning I was interested in, but I just don't know what he's...
Yeah, if they wait till he gets a couple of minutes under his belt, yeah.
Seems like he's back now, but he might be, he's liable to pull his hamstrings again at any moment. So yeah, I might just take a bit more time, and he could come in for Vardy once I'm finished and done with Vardy, and I'm discarding him like yesterday's toilet roll.
I get you. But look, we're 60 minutes in, and I think we can put a pin in Game Week 9. I mean, we've pretty much talked about how we see Game Week 10 and whatnot going from here on in. But we'll stick a pin in it, and before we wrap things up, we will take a quick peek into the drunk tank. This week, we've only got a handful of questions, thank fuck. And the first one in the pile is from FPL Renegades podcast. You'll know them. You heard them last week. If you didn't, check that out. That was a great crack. At Renegades FPL, they have said, better ask a football question after being called out last week. No pressing moves this week. Hold and bench Barkley again or sell. And if I was to sell, best replacements, one free transfer, no money in the bank. Now, before I throw this over to you, Shems, because I know you've been looking at some of the cheap midfield options, I would just like to clarify that we did not call you out over your questions last week. That was your own podcast partner in crime, Kirk's. He scoffed at some of our questions, and, I had to mention the kind of shenanigans you've been getting up to, Drew. Personally, I love the off the wall questions and talking about stupid shit, but I'm also happy to help you with your team because God knows you need it. Seamus, Barkley, sell. Who are you looking at if you do?
Sell. Why would you hold? When is he due back? I thought he's out for a while.
I don't know. We don't know, but go into it. I'm going to take a quick break.
Okay. Well, I was looking at this while before the pod at a few different options because there's not a whole lot in that bracket. There's a few that interest me, and immediately the Leeds guys are the first ones that pop to mind because Leeds look like they've got goals in them, and I was very impressed with them in their performance this week against Everton. Harrison in particular, he's on a flag at the moment. He costs 5.5. Klitsch is always there. He's 5.5. He's their penalty taker. Like I was saying with the likes of Ward-Prowse, can't tell when he's going to pick up his returns from penalties, okay, because they could come in any game. But Harrison really, he hit the post. He had another really big chance, which he slid in and just put it wide. I believe he had another chance, but he actually could have had a hat-trick. He ended up with an assist. He's somebody that interests me. Away to Chelsea this week, not a brilliant fixture, considering how tight Chelsea are defensively. But then they play West Ham at home and Newcastle at home, which are two amazing fixtures. And Leeds have goals in them in any game. They just kind of just rush forward en masse. Another player from that I like is Rafinha. Obviously, he's only played a few games, scored the winner this week. He looks a real class player. And there's going to be game weeks where some of these players may be benched and may come off the bench. I had previously liked Costa for Leeds, and he's on the bench a bit now at the moment. So those are the guys I would be most immediately interested in. You can also look at Southampton players like Armstrong, 5.5, Walcott, 5.8. They're playing Brighton away, Sheffield United at home, Arsenal away, and Man City at home in the next four. Obviously, the next two are good, but then Arsenal and Man City are bad fixtures. And or you could just go straight to and pivot to other Aston Villa players, considering they still have excellent fixtures. And McGinn is 5.5. I'm not really too interested in that. Trezeguet 5.3 is interesting, but there is
Seamus, is he?
Well, look, he won the penalty today, and he really should have scored. He's has crazy high XG. He really should have a lot more attacking returns, but I'll be worried that Traore is in the pitch now and could start taking minutes off him. So, yeah, I don't know. If you wanted to, their fixtures in the next four are Newcastle at home, Wolves away, Burnley at home, West Brom away. But I don't know why you'd sit on Barkley. He's just going to drop in value the longer he's out. I'm going to just check to see if he's got a return date. What about you, Jar? I mentioned in your absence there the Leeds midfielders. I've mentioned some Southampton midfielders, Armstrong and Walcott. Anyone else?
I think I would probably be either with the likes of Barkley right now, looking at the options. The only one that stood out to me was Klitsch, which I know you talked about already. I think being a penalty taker and seeing what Leeds are capable of. Attacking wise, he's a valid option, but in general, I'm either going down to basement Riedewald with like a 4.3, 4.4 price point, or going up to into the 7s, 8s. Not so much. I mean, maybe the likes of a Jared Bowen, who picked up a goal and assist tonight. He's got 4 goals this season and assist. He's 6.3. And,
it's just outside of that.
He's just outside of it, but you could maybe push up to the likes of that. But in general, I think no. I think I was basically cheaping out in Grealish by picking Barkley, I thought. And now that Barkley's not there, I'm not sure if I really want Grealish. And in general,
let me put one or two players to you and just tell me what you think. Now, we mentioned Neto and Podence. They're both in that price range, 5.5, 5.4. Liverpool away at home, a tough one. Then Aston Villa at home, Chelsea at home, Burnley away.
Well,
Do
that
you like
kind
either
of
of those
fits
guys?
in nicely with Didi's question, and he asks, Neto's fast becoming a very attractive option. Doesn't always get 90 minutes, but he's banging in the goals. Is he a really good fourth or fifth choice mid? Which is kind of what Drew's talking about in regards to Barkley. He was a fourth or fifth choice mid. So, I don't know. We kind of spoke on Neto and Podence already, Seamus, and I'm with you. I think kind of got to wait a bit longer and see what does him and his injury, what the impact that's going to have on, the Espirito Santo's lineup. And what the fuck? That's basically where I'm coming from. But I had Podence at the start of the season, got off him because the coming off early, and I think it's kind of similar to Neto at the moment for me. It's like I don't know how quick I am to get back there. Are you disagreeing?
Yeah, look, there's a reason some of these players are priced 5.5. Same with the likes of Saint Maximin, same with Armstrong. If you get these in the right spell, boom, you could hit like a 10-pointer, an 8-pointer, a 2-pointer, and then another 10-pointer, and then they might be quiet for a while, or they might get like 6, 7, 3, or 2, and then a 10-pointer. But for their price, that's still great value. It's not a whole lot in the basket down there. I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of Podence and Neto here in these games, Didi. I'm not just like Harrison is the one that interests me most just because Leeds look like they've got goals in them. And I want some Leeds action. And if you have Bamford, yeah, maybe you don't want to go that route. But if you don't, I think someone like Harrison or Rafinha is the way to go to get in on that. I was looking at Gross.
Yeah, I think
there,
that's a
who's
terrible
done
shout,
well.
so I'll just cut you off there.
Okay.
But no, I think Harris, Leeds in general, and Wolves, they're often good options. Last question before you wrap it up, because we are an hour and 10 minutes in, and that is from Nuke. He asks us, how can I bring KDB into my team? The only way he could think of doing it is to transfer out Salah and Ziyech to bring in KDB and Jota next week. So basically he's like asking Salah and Ziyech or KDB and Jota. Seamus, yay or nay?
Salah and Ziyech, KDB and Jota to
Yeah.
bring in.
No,
Would it
Salah.
be? I mean, surely Son has to be part of your thoughts here. Son and Ziyech has to be the way to do it.
Well, there's
Who's
not.
he?
We're answering the question, so come on.
So he's saying Jota, Salah and Ziyech, KDB and Jota. And that's one way of doing it. I don't know if I like that way. I think I would get rid of Son and Ziyech. I mean, wouldn't really want to get rid of Ziyech, but yeah, Son and Ziyech, and then minus KDB. You should have enough there to like replace Ziyech, Son with KDB, and replace Ziyech with somebody who's like 6 million. There's players, you're kind of still shopping in the bracket there. I wonder, could you get someone like Bowen or something like that in, or someone around the 6.2, 6.3 million mark?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, to me, I'm not too keen.
Sell Salah though to get in KDB. You're going to want Salah back in game week 12.
That's the thing. It feels like a bit of a sideways move. I think it would require a bit of restructuring, but in general, you can't have everyone nuclear. That's the way we were talking about before it.
He's got 5 midfielders and 3 playing strikers. Surely you just got to get rid of Son and Ziyech and just downgrade one of those down to a 4.5 or down to Souček or something like that.
And he's got 5 playing midfielders across the back as well, or defenders across the back. So I mean, you can cut money out there somewhere. I think you need to just be looking to turn. I'm with Seamus. Turn Son into KDB. Somehow cut $1 million off somewhere. I mean, again, probably shouldn't be saying this, but Antonio wise. We don't know what happened tonight, but I know you have him, so maybe there's money to be cut off there, but we'll see. Either way, it's a bit of a sideways. I think Salah and KDB are going to be much of a muchness as the season kind of continues, but this week at home to Fulham, I would be shitting it if I didn't have KDB, but I didn't have Vardy, and that didn't turn out too bad. So that's FPL for you. Yeah, I think we can wrap the drunk tank up there. I think before we finish it all, I will take a quick look at this week's the findings as they currently are on livefpl.net for the FPL Hangover Mini League. In first place, we still have Dunfanaghy 11. He's been up there for ages, 649 points. In second, we've got Camarul Arafin flying without Ings, 634 points. Third, Peter Scully in the Orgazoid, 624. Fourth, Liam Herridge, Lane Line, 619. Paul Galloway number 5th with 618, and Drew from the Renegades, he's in number 6. He's dropped down a couple of spaces. 617. 7 Javenda Ray, We Live on Earth 616, 615. 8 Alan Jennings, Team Actimel 613. Not reading out that guy because we're going to have to put that team out. Number 10, our very own Ian Walsh, Fish and Chups, 610. Also, Cahill Byrne, FPL Crypto, just sneaking inside the top 10 as well with the same score, 610. So, some good results all around for this week's mini league. Seamus, while you're live on air, have you gotten to hand out last year's prize to Finucane yet?
No, shit, I haven't.
Jesus Christ.
You know what? I'm going to message him after this.
All
right, so if you're listening to this, Finucane, you can expect a message here.
Before we wrap it up, if you do want to join the thing, the mini league, the code is EH4HH7. That's up on the screens there. Seamus, you have all of the nasty details for our channel and whatnot.
Yeah. Look, first of all, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know where to find us. But if you're not and you're listening, yeah, you'll find us on YouTube. Check out and look for the FPL Hangover podcast YouTube channel. Like and subscribe that. If you listen to this podcast, so do like us, rate and review. We're on Apple Podcasts as well, or iTunes, whatever it's called. So try and leave us a rating there if you do listen on that platform. We're on all other platforms too, such as Spotify, podcast. What are the other ones? Google Podcasts, all the main ones. Yeah. All of the main ones. If you want to interact with us, you'll find us on Twitter mostly. Okay, we're also on Facebook, but on Twitter, the podcast is at FPL Hangover. I'm at FPL Drunk. We'll put out the call for questions each week. And is there anything I've missed?
No.
Oh yeah, email. If you want to email, fplhangover@gmail.com.
Old school.
Always,
I like it. Yeah.
Always happy to take questions that way too.
Yeah, no, that's it. Seamus, you've smashed it. Thank you for listening. As Seamus said, like, subscribe, all of that. Show support. It really helps. And most importantly, enjoy Game Week 11, lads. God bless.